We
are
cultivate.
cultivate.
We are cultivate.
Hello and welcome to a special mini-sode of Ye Olde Crime, the show where Maddie and I discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear every Wednesday. This special bi-weekly segment is called Can You Crack the Cramp-Word, which is slang for a difficult or obscure term, which I thought was very fitting. And joining me today is Claire from the Creativity Found podcast. And before we begin, I'd like to give her the opportunity to tell us a little more about herself and her show before we get started.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, Creativity Found is my podcast, and in it I chat with people who have found or refound their creativity as adults. So we talk about the kind of barriers that are often put in the way of adults wanting to get creative, whether that be through doing a sensible job, family, maybe having been academically bright and told, don't go down this path, go down this path. And then we talk about how the guest came back to or found the creative activity that they love now and how that benefits the rest of their life as well, from, emotional, mental well-being, just have a release and all the various benefits that people get from having been brave. And sometimes it is brave because sometimes people, especially grown-ups, are a bit scared that they're going to be rubbish and they think, I'm not going to try something if I'm not going to be good at it. We've got to get over that. Over that, try something. Doesn't matter if you think it doesn't look good, for example, give it a go and enjoy the process.
Well said. You founded Open Stage Arts in 2016. Can you tell our listeners a little more about that and kind of what inspired you to do it?
So Open Stage Arts was a drama and singing classes for adults, and I founded that. I did it all a bit around the wrong way, really, because what I was meant to be doing was looking for a release for myself. So I had been struggling with anxiety, and it was really a horrible time. I was seeing a counsellor, and she showed me this wheel of life drawing and all the pieces of pie in that circle for work and finances and other people. They were all full, and there was that one piece of pie, that one triangle that was you, something for you, something that isn't for other people, something that's enjoyable.
Yep.
And I couldn't place anything in that segment of that chart. So I had a good cry again. And then I actively started looking for something that I could do that was just for me, that was an escape, that would have me not thinking about everything else that goes on in life. And I couldn't find something that I enjoyed. I tried a couple of things, but I didn't like them terribly well. And I've always loved performing. I did dance at university. I love dance. So I came upon the idea of starting classes that you're not putting a play on, so you don't need to learn lines, and you're not, having all the extra stress of putting on a show and the politics possibly of joining a group, but you do get to go and have fun for 2 hours a week doing a bit of silly drama and a bit of singing. So I started that. I started hiring teachers to do that. And we had the most amount of fun. And this is where a lot of everything came from for Creativity Found. So first, for example, the idea of making a mess of it. You can't do it wrong. You do it your way.
Yep.
And we were always saying in that class, because it can be quite scary, you're in a class of other people and you're going to do something quite, emotional. You're going to do something that you've never done before, and it can be a big step out of your comfort zone. And I was always saying, it doesn't matter if you do it differently from how you thought you were going to do it, none of it is wrong. So we did have, once you can get past that and make a bit of a fool of yourself, it's hilarious, and then you don't worry about it in the future. So, and this is where then the idea for Creativity Found did come from, because once we were in lockdown and couldn't do the classes, I wanted to kind of keep up a momentum somehow. And I'd spoken to quite a few people in the classes and while networking, trying to promote the classes, who had said, oh, that's such a good idea. I used to love doing such and such an activity.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I'm just too busy with work, I don't get time to do it. So I was hearing a lot of those stories and I thought, this is something I can do. Having never made a podcast before,
Mm-hmm.
just go and do it and get started. And I knew a couple of people who had those stories. So I started talking with them and then it just grew and grew. And I love podcasting. Who'd have thought it? It's just made me meet so many wonderful people. I actually really enjoy sitting down and editing the audio as well. I actually enjoy every part of it. It's time consuming, as you know, but it's very enjoyable. So it all came from Open Stage Arts and it all turned a bit higgledy-piggledy and upside down and became entirely.
That's a really great segue into my second question. So people who haven't been on your website, first off, it looks amazing.
Oh,
and you have so much stuff going on. How do you manage to keep track of this awesome community that you've cultivated?
I am a very organised person. I mean, I will say...
I feel like you have to be.
I am very... I do have lots of notebooks, and I mean paper and pen notebooks. And I colour code everything as well, because I have a day job editing books. I also teach a dance fitness class. There's lots of stuff going on. So colour code my diary. I just it's always in the back of your head. I want to keep... So the members, the next step for Creativity Found was creativityfound.co.uk, trying to help other people find creative activities to try. And so the website is for the learners, but it's also for the teachers. So with the teachers, we have a membership, and if you teach a creative class or you sell a creative kit or there's some kind of creative activity that you can help other people do, come join the membership. And there's two aspects to that as well. One is promotion. Obviously, I talk about it on the podcast every single episode, and there's the website there with everybody's pages on. But also, I wanted us to be connected as well, because a lot of us are isolated people. We're working for ourselves. We don't often meet up with other businessy people, and you can quite often think, oh heck, I'm going through this really horrible stage, I'm the only person, I'm rubbish, whatever it may be. But I want us to get together and be able to say, no, I felt exactly like that. So I'm just always aware the members do have their own chat group, as well as the Facebook one that's for everybody, but a private members one is within the website as well. So I do like to post in there of activities that we can do. And we do like to meet up as well. So I am in the UK, and I have a British accent. I am actually in the UK, and my family don't always necessarily like going to the arty crafty events that I like to go to. They're very happy now that I have another network of people I can say, hey, does anybody want to go to this with me? And they don't have to come along and smile and pretend they're enjoying it. So it is just a matter of having it all in the back of the head, thinking about other people. You are thinking about other people, kind of thinking about how you're feeling, and other people may be feeling that way as well. So, but it is a lot of time and work and thinking, but it's thoroughly enjoyable. So that's all right.
Yeah, as long as you like what you're doing, what's the phrase? You never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So my final question is, because you kind of went into how you transitioned into the podcast from starting Creativity Found, how do you find guests to be on your show?
Well, do you know, they come and find me more often than not now. They come to me, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, at the very beginning, as I said, I knew a few people. So I started with those people. I put a post up in a Facebook group that was a local, because I'm in Oxfordshire, a local arts Facebook group. So then I met some people through there. During 2021, Clubhouse was an absolute lifesaver. And I was on there meeting so many wonderful people and chatting, and I got a lot of guests from there. And then do go on I call them podcast dating apps, like Podmatch, for example, and Matchmaker.
Yes.
Actual places you can
Yes.
go. So I'm on those, and people come to me through that. Sometimes they do come to me with absolutely no idea what my show is about, and I get a little bit
Yep.
frustrated.
Yep.
But sometimes some good ones get through as well. And it's just generally people are hearing about it now and coming to me. I have my 2024 printout calendar because I am booking pre-chats in February now. So
Wow.
yeah, it's very exciting.
That's awesome. That's great. For our listeners who are unfamiliar with your show, can you give them kind of a brief snapshot of like the types of creative individuals that you've spoken with in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have, for example, an American guest, Fish, suffered with Tourette's syndrome, but didn't realize that was what it was. He got to a point where he was almost not moving at all. He could just move a finger. But when he started to get the diagnosis and he could address his symptoms in a certain way, he was able to get back to comic book art and writing. I have a lady that paints surfboards. She was using surfing as a kind of trauma therapy for herself. Then she wasn't allowed to go surfing in lockdown, and she had a surfboard in her back garden, and she just started painting on it. And this stuff came from nowhere. But we have writers, we have traditional artists, we have abstract artists, all the different paint types, printmakers, potters, anything beginning with P. Absolutely all sorts of stories as well. So it's all sorts of artistic disciplines, but the reasons they get to them are so wide and varied as well. They're really personal journals. Each episode is
Yep.
that person's story, and it includes more than just what they do creatively, but that's the glue that keeps it all together.
Before we move on to the game portion, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about you and your show?
No, I think I've said it all.
Okay. I always like to ask on the off chance I didn't ask a certain question and they're like, oh, actually, you should know
I do
X,
as
Y,
well.
and Z.
I always ask that as well, but I think I've got everything in there. Yeah. Thank you.
Sounds good. Well, are you ready then for some Victorian slang terms?
I have to say I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like as a Brit, I should know this. I mean, I know Victoria is not just British, but Victoria was our queen, and I feel like that means I should know what this language is. I have extra pressure on me, but no, I'm ready. Let's go.
You'll be letting the whole of England down if you don't get these high stakes. All right. Now, I will give you a heads up. This first one's a little bit naughty.
Okay.
So have that in your mind. Normally, I wouldn't let you know that, but I feel like I kind of have to let you know with this one. So your first term is cultivar cartzo.
What? Cultivar cartzo. Well, I know there's a lot of drinking and there's a lot of prostitution that comes up in these kind of things. I can't connect a word with those two words. They're like made up words. They don't connect to anything else. Say it again.
Cultivar cartzo.
Okay.
So KERTEVR and then CARTZO. Cultivar cartzo.
Well, I think it's the cart that you get dragged home on, or no, you get dragged to the Navy. So when you're drunk and you're in the pub and you're so drunk you don't realise it, you get shoved onto this cultivar cartzo, which is a cart, and the next thing you know, you've woken up in the Royal Navy.
Which did happen a lot.
Press ganging.
A lot.
That's the vehicle that takes you to your ship.
There you go. Well, according to Victorian slang, cultivar cartzo is a venereal disease.
Yeah.
Which comes from cativo, which means bad, and cazo, which is for the penis. essentially.
Bad penis.
Bad penis, essentially, is what it means. You got a bad penis.
Well, I mean, it is connected. I mean, these sailors, they did, sleep around when they were allowed back on shore. So I'm sure they had bad penises as well.
You never want one, but I'm sure, I mean, when you sail the seven seas, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So your second term is blow a cloud.
Oh, that sounds really sweet. You're going to tell me it's something horrible, aren't you? It sounds sweet.
No, it's not bad.
Okay,
no.
okay.
It's not a bad penis or anything, I promise.
Blow a cloud. Maybe it's when you're so happy. No. Now, I heard this. Someone else asked you to do this. Can you use it in a sentence?
Yes, I can. After a long night of drinking, Carl decided it was a good idea to blow a cloud.
He...
Again, not naughty.
Not naughty. Not naughty this... Well, he should go home, or perhaps he should have some food, or perhaps he should have a sleep. He's going to have a sleep, but he can't go home because his wife's going to be really cross. So he sleeps outside, and when he snores, that's when he blows a cloud.
I like that.
You see, this is my drama training come back out again. This is my improv.
There you go. It reminds me of those cartoons where they have like the snot bubbles, that come out when they're
exactly.
snoring.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Well, blow a cloud is Victorian slang for to smoke a cigar or a pipe.
Yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it? Because you do.
Because you're literally blowing a cloud.
You make a cloud with your blow. Yeah. Well, very good.
But I did like yours. I like yours better. Well, I would like to thank Claire for joining me today for Can You Crack the Cramp-Word? And before we go, can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media and when new episodes of your podcast come out?
Absolutely. So I release episodes twice a month on a Monday. And you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as Creativity Found Podcast. Also on YouTube, starting to jump on that bandwagon, which I've been trying to avoid. But so Creativity Found Podcast is on YouTube as well. I love my audio. Don't tell me I have to do video as well. Yeah, and everything can be found at creativityfound.co.uk.
And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay, and I'll see you next time with another tale as old as crime.